I shiver, and goosebumps appear on my arms. My curiosity is a mistake, a betrayal of abnegation values. Humming a little, she presses another electrode to my forehead and explains. In some parts of the ancient world, the hawk symbolized the sun. Back when I got this, I figured if I always had the sun on me, I couldn't be afraid of the dark. I try to stop myself from asking another question, but I can't help it. You're afraid of the dark? I was afraid of the dark, she corrects me. She presses the next electrode to her own forehead and attaches a wire to it. She shrugs. Now it reminds me of the fear I've overcome. She stands behind me. I squeeze the armrest so tightly the redness pulls away from my knuckles. She tugs wires toward her, attaching them to me, to her, to the machine. Okay, I'm going to repeat that sentence because that was bad. She tugs wires toward her, attaching them to me, to her, to the machine behind her. Then she passes me a vial of clear liquid. Drink this, she says. What is it? My throat feels swollen. I swallow hard. What's going to happen? Can't tell you that. Just trust me. I press air from my lungs and tip the contents of the vial into my mouth. My eyes close. I'm going to take a water, because then this is where the section happens. Okay. When they open, an instant has passed, but I am somewhere else. I stand in the school cafeteria again, but all the long tables are empty, and I see through the glass walls that it's snowing. On the table in front of me are two baskets. In one is a hunk of cheese, and in the other, a knife the length of my forearm. Behind me, a woman's voice says, Choose. Why? I ask. Choose, she repeats. I look over my shoulder, but no one is there. I turn back to the baskets. What will I do with them? Choose, she yells. Then she screams at me. My fear disappears and stubbornness replaces it. I scowl and cross my arms. Have it your way, she says. The baskets disappear. I hear a door squeak and turn to see who it is. I see not a who, but a what. A dog with a pointed nose stands a few yards away from me. It crouches low and creeps toward me, its lips peeling back from its wide teeth. A growl gurgles from deep in its throat, and I see why the cheese would have come in handy, or the knife, but it's too late now. I think about running, but the dog will be faster than me. I can't wrestle it to the ground. My head pounds. I have to make a decision. If I can jump over one of the tables and use it as a shield, no, I'm too short to jump over the tables, and not strong enough to tip one over. The dog snarls, and I can almost feel the sound vibrating in my skull. My biology textbook said that dogs can smell fear because of a chemical secreted by human glands in a state of duress. The same chemical a dog's prey secretes. Smelling fear leads them to attack. The dog inches toward me, its nails scraping the floor. I can't run. I can't fight. Instead, I breathe in the smell of the dog's foul breath and try not to think about what it just ate. There are no whites in its eyes, just a black gleam. What else do I know about dogs? I shouldn't look it in the eye. That's a sign of aggression. I remember asking my father for a pet dog when I was young, and now, staring at the ground in front of the dog's paws, I can't remember why. It comes closer, still growling. If staring into its eyes is a sign of aggression, what's a sign of submission? My breaths are loud but steady. I sink to my knees. The last thing I want to do is lie down on the ground in front of the dog, making its teeth level with my face, but it's the best option I have. I stretch my legs out behind me and lean on my elbows. The dog creeps closer and closer until I feel its warm breath on my face. My arms are shaking. It barks in my ear, and I clench my teeth to keep from screaming. Something rough and wet touches my cheek. The dog's growling stops, and when I lift my head to look at it again, it is panting. It licked my face. I frown and sit on my heels. The dog props its paws up on my knees and licks my chin. I cringe, wiping the drill from my skin, and laugh. You're not such a vicious beast, huh? I get up slowly so I don't startle it, but it seems like a different animal than the one that faced me a few seconds ago. I stretch out a hand carefully so I can draw it back if I need to. The dog nudges my hand with its head. I am suddenly glad I didn't pick up the knife. I blink, and when my eyes open, a child stands across the room, wearing a white dress. She stretches out both of hands and squeals, "Puppy!" As she runs toward the dog at my side, I open my mouth to warn her, but I am too late. The dog turns. Instead of growling, it barks and snarls and snaps, and its muscles bunch up like a coiled wire, about to pounce. I don't think. I just jump. I hurl my body on top of the dog, wrapping my arms around its thick neck. My head hits the ground. The dog is gone, and so is the little girl. Instead, I am alone, in the testing room, now empty. I turn in a slow circle and can't see myself in any of the mirrors. I push the door open and walk into the hallway, but it isn't a hallway. It's a bus, and all the seats are taken. I stand in the aisle and hold onto a pole. Sitting near me is a man with a newspaper. I can't see his face over the top of the paper, but I can see his hands. They are scarred, like he was burned, and they clench around the paper like he wants to crumple it. "Do you know this guy?" he asks. He taps the picture on the front of a page of the newspaper. The headline reads, "Brutal Murderer Finally Apprehended." I stare at the word murderer. It has been a long time since I last read that word, but even its shape fills me with dread. In the picture beneath the headline is a young man with a plain face and a beard. I feel like I do know him, though I don't remember how, and at the same time I feel like it would be a bad idea to tell the man that. "Well?" I hear anger in his voice. "Do you?" "A bad idea. No, a very bad idea." My heart pounds and I clutch the pole to keep my hands from shaking, from giving me away. If I tell him I know the man from the article, something awful will happen to me. But I can convince him that I don't. I can clear my throat and shrug my shoulders, but that would be a lie. I clear my throat. "Do you?" he repeats. I shrug my shoulders. "Well?" A shudder goes through me. My fear is irrational. This is just a test. It isn't real. "Nope," I say, my voice casual. "No idea who he is." He stands, and finally I see his face. He wears dark sunglasses and his mouth is spent into a snarl. His cheek is rippled with scars like his hands. He leans close to my face. His breath smells like cigarettes. Not real, I remind myself. Not real. "You're lying. You're lying," he says. "I am not. I can see it in your eyes." I pull myself up straighter. "You can't." "If you know him," he says in a low voice, "you could save me. You could save me." I narrow my eyes. "Well," I say. I set my jaw. "I don't." There you go. There's chapter 2. So let's keep a lookout for 3. And feedback, again, it's very greatly appreciated. And watch all the other ones. Bye.